The International Space University was established 27 years ago. It aims to deliver education and training to future global space leaders. We specialize in interdisciplinary education, and we deliver it in a sort of international and intercultural context.
So, I'd like to understand. I mean, what kind of disciplines are needed in a space university?
Well, our definition of disciplines starts with science. Then we also cover engineering, space applications, space management and business, space policy, economics, and law, and finally, the humanities, including the arts, social studies, architecture, design, and so on.
Wow, I think that's a lot more than most people would imagine if they heard space university. Certainly more than I would imagine.
Okay. Our aim is to produce people who understand all the different interconnections and interactions between the different parts of the space domain in order to be able to promote international space projects and make innovative new things happen in space.
That sounds very interesting. So you are connected to how many countries?
Oh, pretty much the whole world. I think there's maybe 10 countries that we don't have alumni from. A number in Africa, Mongolia we don't have, I recall, North Korea, but pretty much every other country we've had a student or a participant in one of our programs from.
So your particular job title, what is that?
Well, I'm a professor of astronautics, but I'm also the program director of our MSc in space studies. So just at the moment, we welcomed a new group of 45 students from around the world, and they're just starting. They're 2 weeks into their first year of their MSc.
And do they typically start with an education in another university, and then this is some kind of add-on, or how would you
Yes,
describe it?
that's right. We don't educate at bachelor's level, only at master's level. So all these people have qualified in different subjects with different universities. Some of them have just finished university and come straight here. Other ones of them have had fairly well established careers already, but are coming to us nevertheless to improve their portfolio of knowledge and expertise.
So apart from being a professor, I mean, you say you're a professor in astronautics.
Yes.
What and an engineer in astronautics, as I understand it, right?
Yes.
What does an engineer in astronautics do on a daily basis?
Well, that depends where they're working. I work in a university, so a significant amount of my time is spent doing either teaching or research. I teach the students here engineering related topics and also some broader things that we call 3I skills: international, intercultural, and interdisciplinary skills. And also carrying out research. We have a small payload going to the International Space Station early in the new year to do microgravity fluid experiments. I also am fairly heavily involved in a number of space organisations, the International Astronautical Federation. I have a number of roles with. I'm vice president of the British Interplanetary Society in the UK, even though I'm in France. And I help organise conferences, symposia, um, generally sort of work on a variety of space-related projects.
How did you originally decide that you wanted to work in space, not in space, but with space?
Well, I was always interested in space since I was a child. Really, I mean, uh, probably it would only be meaningful to British viewers, but when I was a child, there was a comic called The Eagle, and that had a sort of cartoon strip in it called Dan Dare, Hero of the Space Fleet. And he did all those sort of heroic things, traveling across space and, you know, dealing with bad aliens. But that got me interested in space. I had a telescope. I was into astronomy quite a lot when I was younger, and I guess it went from there.
So, what did you originally train in? I mean, you're also an astrophysicist, is that correct?
I started off as a physicist, and then I did a master's in space physics, and then after that a PhD in spacecraft engineering. Um, but I've always had fairly sort of broad interests beyond the immediate scientific and technical domains.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
So, so do you have like a personal mission in life, something that you want to achieve or see achieved?
Well, on a sort of personal level, I would have liked to have been an astronaut. I did get moderately close to it once, about 25 years ago. There was a UK-Russian mission at the time called the Juno mission. I think I got to candidate number 23 before I got ejected, really, because I have an occluded left nasal septum. My left nostril is not up to scratch. More generally, though, I guess my mission in life now is to promote space, to communicate space. If people press me to say what I am, I say, well, I'm really a spacist. Um, I was a physicist, and then I trained as an engineer, and then I got involved in all these other projects. So I'm really just interested in space in all its different aspects, and I like connecting with and communicating with people about those aspects.
So I guess that you are in a very good position where you are now.
Absolutely, I'm very pleased to have this role. I think I'm in the best place that I could be in my career at this point.
That sounds good. So, in your field, or in the field that you are most closely related to, with spacecrafts and so forth, what is the most exciting new development in your field? Not teaching, but with what you're teaching about.
Okay, I mean, I'm particularly interested in space exploration. I mean, there are many good things in going on in space, but space exploration, I personally find the most exciting in particular human space flight. So I'm very pleased to see new developments in human spaceflight. We have Scott Kelly on the International Space Station, who is going to be up there for 1 year. He's part way into his mission as a British citizen. I'm pleased that Tim Peake will be going up to the International Space Station for 5 months in December. I think that's going to be very exciting and particularly relevant for the UK. And that sort of human space flight records continue to be broken. Gennady Padelko is now the holder of the record for the most cumulative time in space since earlier this year. So I think really those sort of things, and of course the robotic space missions. The mission to Rosetta, the European Space Agency, has run has been a stunning success, and continues to impress me both in terms of the technology, the capability, and also the science that we're getting back from it.
And I heard a lot of rumors, I guess you can say that it is, about us being able to send people, human beings, to Mars in a not too distant future. Is that something you believe will happen?
I very much hope we will send human beings to Mars. There's debate in the space community about where you should go first, Moon or Mars. I have to say, I'm one of the people who think we should establish a footprint on the Moon and use that as a base for going to Mars. But certainly, I think it's incontrovertible that we need to send humans to Mars. My sort of discussion point would be merely the sequence in which we do it.
Okay. Um, so if I change subject a little bit, what was your initial reaction when Michael invited you to be involved in the visit, the film?
Oh, I was very excited when Michael first contacted me. As I've said, I'm very interested in the broader aspects of space. I'm particularly interested in the cultural and artistic aspects of space. And I'm at ISU, which is a interdisciplinary institution. So this project was very much the sort of thing that I like to get involved in. So I was overjoyed.
Now, how did your university as such react to it? Were they also interested from the beginning?
Oh yes, because the International Space University is interdisciplinary, and we see many benefits in bringing together, what some people might think.
No, we were talking about hypothetical scenarios and how they may be used in your work also, if they may be used.
Yes, we certainly consider hypothetical scenarios at ISU. For example, Jacques Arnaud, who appears in the visit, who is the ethicist for CNES, comes to Strasbourg to work with our students to discuss the ethical implications of maybe their team projects, or we have a workshop where we consider the ethics of what if life was discovered on Mars. What do you do then? Do you declare the planet off limits because there was a native life form to be effectively a nature reserve? We wouldn't go there anymore. We wouldn't interfere with it. Would we allow limited interaction, or would we ignore it and use the planet as we liked? Those sort of aspects of future space exploration should be thought about in advance before we send many more missions, so that we can decide on appropriate action should the circumstances dictate it.
Interesting. And who would decide that ultimately?
Well, ultimately, I think that would come down to the United Nations in collaboration with the various national governments. They're really United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs are the only body I think capable of really coordinating a response to that.